Welcome to Havering Hoard. I'm Kate Sumnall, I'm the Curator of Archaeology and the Curator of this exhibition.
Hi, I'm Natasha, I'm Assistant Curator on this exhibition.
And we're really excited to be at this point where we are so close to being able to open the doors and welcome people in to come and see the exhibition. But thinking back to where we should have been opening on the 3rd of April, that time just when everything closed down.
Yeah, we were so close to installing. We had all the objects on the van and they were halfway from London Wall to here in Docklands when we got the call to turn around and take them all back because the city would be going into lockdown. But they're here now, they're all in their cases, and we're very excited to be able to give you a sneak peek of the exhibition that you've all had a part in helping to come to fruition.
We've loved working on this exhibition and pulling it all together, but it wouldn't have been possible without all of your help, sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise. So thank you so much for that. Can't wait to show it to you in person.
The exhibition opens on 11th of September through to the 18th of April next year. So just book your free ticket and come along. We can't wait for you to see it.
So here we are, my favourite bit of the exhibition. I love this bit where we've got the 4 hoards arranged right in the heart of it, set against the landscape film. But I just think that Louisa's done a great job with how she's arranged these objects. I just had in mind a sort of a mound of hoard to convey how much there is, but the detail with which she's arranged them so you can see the individual objects as well as get a sense of them as a whole.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed when I was working on this, is getting to grips with the individual objects, particularly the reports by metalwork specialist Sophia Adams that really went into the different types of axes, the different wear patterns, how much they've been sharpened. So you really got a sense that these are objects that have been used by Bronze Age people. They've been handled, they've been, used for a whole range of activities. And I really liked that you can come in and you can look at all the different aspects by the way they've been arranged.
And the detail that she was able to pull out. I wish we had that much detail for all our object records on Mimsy.
Yes.
Of the difference between it's an axe to this is an axe with a story to tell.
Yeah. And then all of these cases set against the backdrop of this amazing landscape, Kate, that you went to film with Chocolate Films on Raynham Marshes.
Yeah, that was quite something. I love Raynham Marshes. Beautiful landscape, and just cycling out there to meet everybody, and you got a sense of the landscape. And we talk about so much about how the landscape is important in the Bronze Age to the hoards, but you actually got a sense of it there, and it's still surviving. It's beautiful. And then we had a brilliant time walking across the marshes, trying to find the right spot to film. Yeah. Where is the sun going to be rising? Are we going to get the right weather conditions? Which birds are we going to have in shot? Because those are too modern, they'd never pass the Bronze Age. It was brilliant to be out there.
What I really like is the happy accidents of like the cow that just walks through the middle of the film.
So here we are, the metalworking section. This is the section of the exhibition that you took the lead on. So I'm very grateful to you for rapidly becoming an expert on all the knowledge on how to cast bronze, of the science behind it.
Well, I was just really interested in knowing how the objects were made. So, I mean, half of the weight of the hoard is the copper ingots, the raw materials, and then we have casting waste as well in the hoard. So I think showing the process as to how the objects were made was really important, and also to show that the moulds from looking through our own collection, we were able to find some examples of the types of moulds that were used, both ceramic and metal, back in the Bronze Age. And then to have this beautiful replica here, just to show, like, originally how shiny and desirable these objects would be, I think just gives people a better idea of just how precious that the bronze objects were back in the day. And also to show that it wasn't an exact science, because we've got a lot of miscast objects as well here that we can talk about. But yet, even though they were miscast, they were still used. So I think it's nice to pull out those objects just to give people an idea of what went into this. And I really enjoyed also the process of working with James Dilley, archaeologists and craftsmen, to really bring the process to life in the film we have, where he shows us how to cast an axe.
That day filming out on Sally's farm, that was
chilly.
It was cold, but it was amazing to
Yeah.
see. We had such a tight window, such a tight deadline to be able to do the filming. We needed to get it all done. We had the day available, and we were just so lucky with the weather. And I loved all the leaves on the ground. Sally looked after us so well, kept us stocked up with the tea and the coffee.
Yeah, and I think the film is great because it shows people just how casting could be done in the middle of a forest clearing, and why there isn't perhaps so much remnants in the archaeological record of the metalworking process.
Exactly, because that's the thing we've got. We've got the moulds from some sites, we've got the evidence of the metalworking coming out in our hoard so strongly, but yeah, it's sort of like we don't know precisely whereabouts they were actually doing the casting. You've always been a champion for the ingots, the unsung heroes of all this.
I know, they fascinate me. I just love their form, even though we don't have a complete one. They're really striking, and you know, the hoard, like I say, just has so many of them in there that I just wanted to know a bit more about the chemistry. We also wanted to bring out the fact that about bronze being recycled, so we've tried to do a bit of object projection mapping, something a bit new for us, just to show how bronze could be remelted and recast again and again and again. What I really liked when we were making the metalworking film is that James had gone away and made a copy of the awl that we have in the hoard, and it features in the film because there's a theory that perhaps it was used to remove the core from the axe after it had been cast. So I just like that little touch in the film that kind of references the hoard specifically.
It came out of when we had that specialist day, when we laid out all 4 hoards in their entirety.
Such a valuable day.
So good. Well worth the hours that it took to unpack them all and then pack them away again.
Well practiced at that now.
Exactly. But it was just great having people in the room that we could ask the questions. So, yep, we had the archaeologists there, the specialists, James with the experimental hat on as well, and just to be able to bounce around some of the ideas behind it as well. And then there was all the people that we consulted by email, by phone call as well. We've just picked so many different people's brains as we tried rapidly to become familiar with this massive topic.
Yeah. We felt it was really important to look at the wider picture of Bronze Age society, and in doing this we really researched our own collections, which I really enjoyed, and really thankful to the staff at our archaeological archive as well for helping us do this, but also indebted to the Leighton collection and Lloyd collection, which are really strong in prehistory, and this beautiful carp's tongue sword here is one of my favourite things on display, and it really helps bring to life some of the objects from the hoard, these carp's tongue sword fragments, which, you know, on their own it's hard to tell sometimes what these objects are, but now for the visitor they can get a sense of just how beautiful the finished object was.
Absolutely, but this is the case which I had the most angst about. I had the general idea of what I wanted this section of the exhibition to say about how connected Bronze Age society was, about the trading links, the movement of people, the movement of ideas. So I had this idea, and reading through Sophie's report, was trying to pull out objects from the hoard which maybe spoke to that, wrote the text, sent it to Sophie to fact check, to have a look and make sure that I'd interpreted her report in the right way. It basically came back with a line saying, "See me." It was just a case of, it needed a lot of editing, but it was also the fact of we were so far in the process because we had such a short time scale to be turning this all around. It was sort of like, how much can I kind of fudge it? How much can we make this work? Because we can't change things too substantially now. So yes, this is the case, I think, that I've got the grey hair over.
Okay, but we're so indebted to everyone who helped, right?
Absolutely.
From those who, you know, dug the hoards out of the ground, to the specialists who worked on it, who did help us and pull us up when we did make those interpretation errors.
Absolutely. We needed that help, absolutely.
I really enjoyed the process of bringing interactives into the exhibition, just to make it more accessible to younger audiences and older alike. Interactives are always fun. Some of them came straight to us, but others took a little bit more detail and working out and consideration, and this was probably the one that we spent the most time developing, but also one of the ones that I think turned out best. Just really illustrates how much quicker it was to transport things by river in the Bronze Age than by land.
I had the idea of, we should absolutely have an interactive around this message, and it could work like this. And then, actually trying to then bottom out, no, physically, how is that going to work in the gallery? And that's when I just bounced it over to the designers, and thank you to Ben, who managed to take what was quite an ephemeral idea of lots of hand waving around and actually put it into place about how we can have moving figures, but how none of the parts can be removed and lost. It doesn't need to be reset. It says what we need it to say. So all of that hard work to turn what was an idea into the physical reality, and then the virus struck, and this is part of the measures that we've had to do to make the gallery COVID friendly. It's taken what is an interactive and it's made it something that you can look at, but hopefully if measures change, then we might be able to lift off the Perspex cover and get it out again.
But fortunately, a lot of the other interactives we have been able to adapt, so to make them COVID friendly. So that's also been really nice process to be able to still offer some of those elements to people.
I'm really pleased with how this concluding section actually came about in the end. This was the section that was always a bit woolly. We didn't properly have it nailed down. We quite quickly came up with the shape of the rest of the exhibition of how we wanted to display the hoard, stories that we wanted to tell, but then the conclusion, I just didn't have a firm grip on it. And I remember we went through a few iterations of it, and gosh, the designers were so incredibly patient.
They were so patient.
But I remember a meeting quite early on when you said, why don't we just whack an axe in a glass box?
I didn't say whack, no. Well, I just thought, let's bring it back to the objects, to the hoard, and to perhaps one individual object, because sometimes when you see them all on display, it's hard to appreciate the individual craftsmanship and just what it has to tell you, and just the beauty of the object. And so I just thought that as one single axe to stand for the whole story of the hoard, and that there's still so much more to be discovered.
Absolutely.
I love the plinth. Designers, beautiful.
The designers have done a great job throughout this entire exhibition of the way that they took quite early on the idea of the sun moving through this space and how it talks to the Bronze Age importance of the movement of the sun, but it also chimes with that moment of discovery, and there's the sun set on this big landscape. It's a beautiful vision that they came up with, and how to play around with the lighting and the big landscape vistas that we've managed to build into this exhibition.
You really feel immersed, in that kind of landscape feeling, right from the start to the big landscape across the back, and then coming back here to this beautiful image.
It's a brilliant idea, and I think it's worked really, really well.